Ramakrishna Om. Salutations to Bhagavan Ramakrishna. This is the third part of life of Yogin Ma. Let us quietly close our eyes and think of that immortal, imperishable soul within us. That real nature of the self is infinite. It is existence. The self is consciousness. Think of yourself as that soul. Visualize that soul, if you like, as golden light within your heart. Om, peace, peace, peace. We have seen Yogin Ma, who was in Vrindavan, that's a sacred place, with Holy Mother after Sri Ramakrishna had passed away, and she had attained those high states, constantly merging into samadhi. After a few months there, she returned to Calcutta to look after her aged mother. And in a home which was sanctified by Sri Ramakrishna, she used to perform ritualistic worship. Many people have the idea, oh, ritualism is the lowest spectrum of spiritual life. That's not so. Rituals are condensed philosophy. And in her room, in a worship room at home, all of four walls are covered with all the pictures of the gods and goddesses. And her chosen ideal was, again, the baby Krishna, God as Krishna in the form of a child, like we have the child Jesus. She used to perform this ritualistic worship with great devotion. And she says she had many divine visions from that. Later she spoke of it as the easiest way to establish a relationship with God. And she said, once I was in such a high spiritual state that wherever I turned my eyes, I would see my chosen deity. That state lasted for 3 days. That is, she saw God continuously for 3 days. As we have seen in the life of Gopala's mother, she too used to see God, and that God used to interact with her, play with her. she was much loved by all the devotees of Sri Ramakrishna. Swami Vivekananda, when he returned from the US to India, saying, Yogin Ma, you will pass away in Samadhi. Once a person experiences Samadhi, the memory of it is revived at the time of death. And some of his letters from the US was urging his disciples, especially the women devotees, to start a convent. And he writes, where is Yogin Ma? Where is Gauri Ma? Get them. Let them start a convent. So he was more interested in starting a convent first than a monastery. One day, when he met her, Swami Vivekananda, he says, so I'm going to have lunch with you. Please cook for me. And another occasion, today is my birthday, you prepare something nice. Her cooking was excellent. And it's not only Sri Ramakrishna loved it, but Holy Mother and all the direct disciples also loved her cooking. Once when the Maharaja of Khetri, that was Swami Vivekananda's disciple, had come to meet him in Calcutta, he had placed the responsibility of cooking for the Maharaja on Yogin Ma. She used to also worship annually the form of the Divine Mother called the Holder of the Universe, Jagadhatri. And here, Holy Mother also and the other direct disciples used to attend this function. In 1893, this was the time when Holy Mother was living in what is called a home near the present site of Belur Math. And they both performed what is called the penance of 5 fires. Pancha Tapa, 5 fires. Now what are these 5 fires? 4 fires are lit 6 feet apart in a square. And the sun is the 5th fire. And the fire is kept blazing all through the day. One gets into that square. It's burning hot. You have a dip in the river. There was the river Ganges. Come and sit down within that fire, the 4 fires of the sun. And you know, summer in India, it will melt even the strongest of hearts. And they used to sit down from sun up to sundown, continuously doing japa. That is one of the extreme forms of spiritual austerities. It cannot be done by ordinary, you can say, aspirants. Just impossible. Because the mind has to be so immersed in the thoughts of God, the world and the body becomes oblivious to it. Only then can you stand those 5 fires. And they did it for 7 consecutive days. It's supposed to be done for 3 days or 7 days. And for 7 days, Holy Mother, she was hesitant when she saw the fires blazing. The place still exists. It's on the roof of the house where Mother used to live there in the old monastery. And so Yogin Ma, she says, she gave her courage. Go inside, go inside. And Holy Mother stepped in. And Holy Mother says, as we stepped in, it seems as if the fires had become cool, though they were blazing. Now, both of them sat in the center of the 4 fires, the 4 corners with the sun up, and practiced japa. He's saying their skins were burnt black. So this was something that is unparalleled in the life of many spiritual aspirants. They are not aspirants, they had reached perfection during that time. And Holy Mother herself, I remember one time we had gone for a Kumbh Mela. There's a huge festival once in 12 years of all the monks of all the different orders in India. And they converge there. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of monks. Even I was, oh my, there are so many there. And we saw some monks doing this austerity of 5 fires. But when we looked at those four fires at the 4 corners, we kept smiling. Oh my God. Just a semblance of a fire. They kind of burned some kind of firewood there. And there were hundreds of them practicing there. But it wasn't so intense as what these women went through. But that takes a lot of spiritual courage. I mean, the very extreme. What does it do? Well, it gives you perfection. That's what it does. It burns away all your karmas. She also, at one time, she performed a kind of a religious vow of staying at the confluence of the Ganga and the Jamuna and the Saraswati, which is called the Kalpavasa. It's generally done for 45 days. But she was there, and that also is a very hard austerity. It's done in the winter. Studies, meditation, japa, a sacred bath, come out and repeat over and over again. You do it throughout the day for 45 days. Some people do it an extended period. That is also another sacred vow in a sacred place. Another time she also stopped drinking water for 6 months. She lived only on milk. Because they say, oh, there's water in that. Yeah, but then imagine she could do it. Saying her whole life was full of fast and vigils. About her, to describe, one of her, can say, her grandsons describes her, saying, from evening right up till 9 p.m., we had many opportunities of seeing her seated on her asana, that seat, meditating statue-like, straight, erect, externally dead, but obviously in touch with some luminous reality within. As we know, she had grandson. She had big lotus-like sparkling eyes. Her health was always good. Only with minor troubles and ailments, she was of short stature, heavily built, bright complexion, very wise and balanced in her judgments. She had a grave composure. She was full of stamina, fortitude, and a woman of her word. So even in her old age, they say, even in terrible cold or rain, nothing could stand in the way of her routine of waking up very early in the morning, going to bathe in the river, coming back and practicing these meditations. In fact, Holy Mother, she told her women disciples, you should discuss some of these spiritual practices that Yogin Ma, and there's another devotee, Golap Ma, which we will take later, have practiced. That will purify you. Even speaking about their religious practices was a purification. Laura Glenn, who was Sister Devamata, who had met Swami Vivekananda in New York, and she went to India, and she wrote a book which is highly, you can say, prized by the devotees of Sri Ramakrishna. They say, Days in an Indian Monastery. So she mentions her meeting Yogin Ma. He says, Yogin Ma always seemed to me to be one of the noblest of Ramakrishna's disciples. She did not abandon her household life, but no nun in a cloister was more rigid in her spiritual observance than she. And she was faithful in her duty to Holy Mother. Laura writes, her day was too well organized to permit conflict. She rose before night had lifted and at 4 went for a bath in the Ganges. She never failed. Sometimes when she was not well, Swami Shardananda would remonstrate with her and beg her to consider her health. But she remained firm. And then she used to meditate till 7, and then she used to come, dress the vegetables in mother's house, do the morning worship, serve the devotees, go home, again serve her mother who was old, and after a little rest, come back again keep on doing this work, and she should finish off with the evening vespers. Laura Glenn, she was, I think, one of, I don't remember, one of the governor's, can say, daughters. I don't remember that. But she was very aristocratic. Yogin Ma, she writes, Yogin Ma was most loving to me always. It troubled her, apparently, that I was born in America instead of India. Often she would say to me, Dev Mata, I wonder why Thakur sent you so far away to be born. You belong here. You are one of us. So here it was. And she says that during Vespers and even during the puja, when she used to be alone, and Laura was always there with her while performing puja. And during that time, you could see how concentrated she was. She was completely immersed in the ritual she is doing. And Laura Glenn used to feel so uplifted in her presence. She had 2 images of her chosen ideal, that is the baby Krishna. One day, she says, I was worshipping. I saw 2 incomparably handsome boys. They came smiling and hugging me and stroking my back and said, do you know who we are? I replied, Yogin Ma is saying, yes, I know you very well. You are the heroic Balarama and you are Krishna. So Krishna as a young boy, and he had his brother Balarama. The younger one, that Krishna, then said, you won't remember us. Why? Yogin Ma said, no, you won't, on account of them. And she pointed to her grandchildren. Soon after, in a vision, of course, soon after this, the words were fulfilled. Yogin Ma became very preoccupied with her grandsons after her daughter's death. And her mind came down to the normal plane from that high spiritual state. So, here we are. Her daughter had passed away in 1909. And she raised her grandchildren and also 3 orphan grandsons, one of whom eventually became a monk of the Ramakrishna order. When Yogin Ma's mother was passing away, she was taken at the final moments to the bank of the Ganges, and that's considered to be extremely auspicious. Swami Shardananda himself sat near her chanting the name of God, and she passed away. Yogin Ma cried like a child. She not only was confined to her rituals at home and a mother, but she traveled the length and breadth of the country, not kind of as a sightseer, but as a pilgrim. And she went right up from north to Badrinath, down to the south, Kanyakumari, and then from to the east, that is to Kamakhya, and then also to the west, Dwarka. She never refused anybody. She had a small income from after she was separated from her husband, and that money was used to help people, especially the poor. Even in Calcutta, if any beggars came to the Udbodhan house where she used to live and Holy Mother, Yogin Ma always gave them something. Swami Sharadananda, when he was writing the biography of Sri Ramakrishna, the divine play of Sri Ramakrishna, he took the help of Yogin Ma, and she used to recount incidents and their implications to Swami Sharadananda. She had tremendous memory, retentive power, and she used to relate the things as she used to see, as she had seen, and that helped in having this book, becoming more enriched. She also helped Sister Nivedita in her Cradle Tales of Hinduism. As we know, Sister Nivedita also was much loved by Yogin Ma, and they used to live in the neighborhood. Holy Mother used to regard Yogin Ma's judgment as perfect, not only in domestic affairs, but also spiritual. One time there was a gentleman who had come, and he had asked for a mantra, but at the time of initiation, he wasn't willing to accept Sri Ramakrishna's divinity. So Mother was in a fix. Yogin, see this. This person does not accept his chosen ideal as divine. What should I do? So Yogin Ma comes and says, don't worry, you give him that mantra, and well, that mantra will change his mind. Do it. And Holy Mother did that. And in time, that person's mind was completely changed. This is what happens when we chant a mantra. And what happens? Oh, you're completely transformed. The transformation is inside. The first thing that happens is, mantra now you feel gets awakened. And how do you know when it's awakened? It will repeat by itself, despite even your objections and your obstructions. It will keep on. And you will see it's like a seed that's growing and growing and growing. So the mantra changes your mind. In the mantra is hidden the entire creation, as it were. And you are going down at the heart of creation. You're going down to the very secrets of the universe. The mantra is a sound symbol. It's a mystic sound symbol. And also the visual aspect of the mantra is the form of the deity. So one must visualize the deity and repeat the mantra. That makes the mantra even more powerful. As you keep on repeating, one completely identifies oneself with that mantra and with the deity. And that transformation then takes place. There are some people who say, oh, we have been repeating mantra for many years. Yeah. Of course, nothing is ever in vain in spiritual life. Everything kind of builds up in your favor. So this is how repeating a mantra changes you. And then what happens is your consciousness starts expanding. No longer will that person ever ask, does God exist? What? That question, all doubts have been removed off by just a repetition of that mantra. Of course, she had first interacted with Sri Ramakrishna, and that was always there. And she saw Sri Ramakrishna as, a perfect embodiment of spirituality, of renunciation, of all high states of consciousnesses and this and that and everything. When she used to see Holy Mother, whom she used to love, of course, doubt used to come. Mother is always busy with n number of things, looking after her nephews and nieces and her brothers and the household, and she never saw a woman was so attached to the world. She had those doubts in the beginning. One day she was sitting and meditating on the banks of the Ganges, and as the meditation became deep, Sri Ramakrishna appeared to her and saying, "You see this Ganges flowing?" "Yeah." "Can you see what's flowing in that water also?" And she saw a dead body of a little baby floating. And she also had a vision of people, thousands and thousands of people, worshipping that same water as a goddess. So he's saying, Sri Ramakrishna, do you think that corpse defiles the purity of the Ganga? It cannot, it won't, it will not. Know her, that is, know Holy Mother also to be something like this. Those attachments and all that, her busy, you can say, life, as engrossed in hundreds of things, will never defile her, never attract her mind to them. She is purity herself. And then she ran to Holy Mother to relate to her what had happened. Then Holy Mother also smiled and said, "Yeah," and she patted her and consoled her. Of course, she asked for forgiveness. "I had doubts." Though she was a householder, the very strange thing, in the very beginning, Sri Ramakrishna had asked her not to read too many books, but read only holy books. And one of the categories of books was the Tantras. She used to read other books also. And she was initiated amazingly in a kind of tantric rite with Swami Shardananda, two of them. It's called Purna Abhisheka. It's a special tantric rite. Now we have kind of strange ideas about tantras. There are those who practice the left-handed tantras. That is meant for the flotsam and jetsam. The right-handed tantras is the royal path to God, to awakening. They were practicing that. Okay. So both were initiated into this tantric rite. And Swami Shardananda got its culmination from this spiritual practice by seeing the Divine Mother in all creation. One time, Sri Ramakrishna was there in Dakshineshwar and Swami Shardananda was young. If remember, Swami Shardananda, Ramakrishna says, that he was a disciple of Jesus in his previous incarnation. There we are. We had a whole group of people coming here. So he had asked, what spiritual experience would you like? And the young man, he was young then, he's saying, I want to see Brahman in all beings. Sri Ramakrishna said, but that's the final word in spirituality. They're saying, I want that, nothing less. And Sri Ramakrishna then smiled, saying, you'll get it. This was the time when, after the rites were done and he practiced those particular disciplines, he had the vision of the Divine Mother in all beings. That was, and they were, again, what kind of connection? They were initiated into these rites by a great Pandit and you can say spiritual aspirant, a sadhaka, as I say. Ishwar Chandra Chakravarti. Now, Ishwar Chandra Chakravarti was Swami Shardananda's uncle. He was also Swami Ramakrishnananda's father. So, here we are. And then after that, Swami Shardananda himself, he initiated her into Vedic sannyasa. You know that the tantric sannyasa, tantric renunciation, I mean those rituals, different from the Vedic. We are the Vedic sannyasins, that is the Vedic, you can say it. We don't go down there. But I mean that's the perilous path. One gets initiated into those rites only after one has perfected oneself in spiritual practices. Otherwise, it's dangerous. So, Swami Shardananda himself initiated her into Vedic sannyasa, that is renunciation, in the presence of Swami Premananda. I mean, that was another. Swami Premananda was an ever-free soul, Nitya Siddha. Here, she got both of them. You know, when we were being ordained, we had a great doubts. I don't know if we are fit for. We were talking the batch was there. We were 45 of us, and all 45 of us waiting with bated breath, and we are wondering whether we are competent enough, we are fit enough for this. And all the doubts and all searching inside our mind. This, oh my God, I did this, I did that. Oh my God. It was a miserable time. Yeah. Because this needs people who have at least attained the level of a personal God realization. Then you go up to that. So to see Yogin Ma as competent and fit for this kind of sannyasa, to ordain her, speaks volumes of her great spirituality. So as Laura Glenn said, though she lived as a householder, yet she was ordained a nun, a sannyasini. But she used to wear her ochre clothes only during the time of worship. Otherwise, she used to wear white clothes. In 1920, Holy Mother passed away. That was a big blow for her because she was Holy Mother's, you can say, constant companion for years and years, for decades. And when Holy Mother passed away, she felt a great void. We feel a great void when someone passes away. But this kind of void is not just simply a kind of a ordinary void we feel, psychological void. This was a kind of a spiritual void because she knew the Holy Mother was the mother of the universe. And when she passed away, she felt a void. And then Swami Brahmananda, whom she used to love as her own son, and Swami Turiyananda passed away. That was again devastating. But in spite of her failing health, she was very strong. But diabetes had made her slowly weak, and she began ailing towards the end. But in 1923, when there was a temple built for Holy Mother in her birthplace called Jairambati, she went along with Swami Shardananda to the temple's dedication. Towards the end, she would often, though her body was getting weak, she would often get into states of called a bhava samadhi. She just remember her baby Krishna, and she used to say, ha Gopala, and she used to go into bhava samadhi. All the direct disciples of the master, Sri Ramakrishna, used to, you can say, respect her and love her also. 2 or 3 days before she passed away, she refused to speak to anybody. She refused to take any liquid, and she was quiet. Swami Shardananda called a doctor to see if she was in a coma. The doctor checked her, saying, no, it's not coma. She's not in coma. And then Swami, he said, the master's words had come true. Yogin Ma would give up her body in the state of jnana, in knowledge, in samadhi, and she would merge in Brahman. Even Swami Vivekananda's words came true. You will give up your body in the state of samadhi. So she was in that state of samadhi. She was going to leave her body in the state of knowledge. That is, jnana is knowledge. That is supreme knowledge, not ordinary knowledge. She would merge in Brahman. So on that very day, June 4th, 1924, 10:25 p.m., when all the activities of the monastery were over, Yogin Ma passed away at the Udbodhan house, next to the room of Holy Mother, whom she served for many, many years. Swami Shardananda sat by her bed, near her head, and repeated Sri Ramakrishna's name, while a monk recited the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita deals with the doctrine of the Atman. Yogin Ma's body was then cremated on the bank of the Ganges according to the customs, with the chanting of Vedic mantras. Thus came down the curtain to a remarkably great life, which will go down in the spiritual history as one of the great, you can say, householder lives who had attained the highest states of knowledge and devotion, renunciation and piety, just through her hard work. Of course, hard work in spiritual practices. And also, like Sri Ramakrishna had mentioned, she has become perfected through God's grace. So that was another compliment. Hard work plus God's grace. Both had converged to make this life of Yogin Ma immortal. Whenever we will read about Holy Mother or Sri Ramakrishna or Swami Vivekananda, Yogin Ma will always be a part of that narrative. Om, peace, peace, peace. Wait for the questions. The next life we will take is another remarkable life called Golapma. She also was one of Holy Mother's attendants with Yogin Ma, and she was another remarkable woman. So if you have any questions, you can take them. Well, Well, except for pranams, there's nothing here. Okay. So we stop here, and Sunday we will take, the Sunday talk is not minding matter at 10 a.m. It will be something on the various discussions on what mind is, from the ancient times to the modern, plus what Vedanta speaks about as mind. There's a question here. Since she merged in Brahman, does she lose her memories of Ramakrishna? Of course. Because Ramakrishna itself is that supreme Brahman. There's a song, Tumi Brahma Ramakrishna. Why should she have memories? She becomes that reality. Memories are in the mind. One has transcended the mind to merge in the reality. Because wherever there's a mind, there is a limitation. So she gets into that, she merges. It's like a drop of water falling down in the Pacific Ocean. What happens to the drop of water? It becomes the ocean. She got to the high state of samadhi, but why then does she need sannyasa? Well, that's the glory of sannyasa. That's the glory of, so you got it. Yeah, so to get into technical details, you see, what happens is, there are two broad divisions of sannyasa. One is the vividisha, that is wanting to know and realize the reality. People like us. There is another form of, you can sannyasa, vidvat sannyasa. That is, these people, they've already known the reality, and then they take up to sannyasa. So she falls in this category, the vidvat sannyasis. These people, they really don't need a guru to ordain them into sannyasa. They can take the earth or fire or the entire universe as witnesses, and they do that, you can say, ritual. So they have already become perfected, and that is why they take up that. It's vidvat and vividesha. There are other divisions of monks. We don't need to go into that. So there it is. I think you got that. So we stop here for today. See you all on Sunday. And as we know, Wednesday we read the Gospel and study it. Next Friday, we take up the life of Golapma. Then we'll take up Girish Ghosh. That is a huge book. There was never a character, never will be a character like Girish Ghosh. He had done all the things contrary to spiritual life. And every enjoyment in the world, he had done it to the maximum. And yet, he came to Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna made him one of those great disciples. Today we know him because reading his life, there's hope for people like us also. Okay, we've done all the crazy things in life here, but then Girish Ghosh had done even worse. And yet he found refuge in Sri Ramakrishna. So no problem for us. So the question is, what did Sri Ramakrishna mean when he said Satchidananda alone is the Guru? The Guru is one who dispels the darkness of ignorance. That's called the Guru, the technical meaning of the word. The Guru can be only God. And that's why it's called Satyamayananda. So what about all these human gurus? They are just channels. Because if you see your own guru as a human being, that's a great defect in spiritual life. You cannot see your guru as a human being. Your guru is God. There will come a time when you can see your own guru. You start with, oh, this is the human being and who has initiated me. Later on, you will find it's not so. So that's the reason why I say Satyamayananda alone is a guru. And this is the declaration of the scriptures. It also eliminates all these various gurus, all claiming to be the greats. And each guru is fighting against every other guru. And forget that. This guru's disciples will fight against those guru's disciples and saying, my guru is better than yours. And he's saying, mine. So Sri Ramakrishna in one place, he says, you know, Shiva and Rama, they had a duel together. They fought. It's in the story in the Puranas. But Shiva is Rama's guru and Rama on the other side is Shiva's guru. They understood each other and they made up. There was no quarrel amongst them. But Shiva's demons and Rama's monkeys kept on bickering and fighting against each other. Rama's monkey is making all those monkey faces and Shiva's demons throwing all those things at them. So the world is like that. That's the reason why Satyamayananda alone is the Guru. Because, like I said, the Guru and God is one. It's a long subject. Maybe one day we could discuss it in one of our talks. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.